Hey everyone, Katie Winkle here with There's a Balance for That. And today I want to talk about reactions that we have to things and how those reactions are actually something that the subconscious creates for us. So when I first heard this completely blew my mind. I was in one of my workshops to learn about psych-k, and we got to the section on allergies in the pro workshop, which is now the master facilitators workshop. And the instructor said that the majority of the times reactions or allergies to things are actually the subconscious's way of creating a trigger for you in order to protect you from a person, an event, or a situation. And when I heard that, the concept of it completely made sense to me, but at the same time, it blew my mind. It blew my mind that the subconscious is able to categorize stimulus into something that can become a trigger for us. And so let me explain something that happened at that particular workshop. There was a woman there whose husband did not come with her, but she said that she had a sensitivity to avocados. She would put a piece of avocado in her mouth. She would instantly start swelling, sneezing, coughing, not able to breathe, and all of these things would start happening. And she used to love avocados and had no problem at all eating avocados. But eventually she developed this allergy or this reaction to avocados. And so came to find out during her facilitation and during her practice sessions in this workshop that was actually a reaction to something that had to do with her husband. And she didn't share with us what that was. That's actually irrelevant. But she balanced for the issues around her husband, and then we checked to make sure that it was safe and appropriate for her to try an avocado right there. And it was, so she did, and she had zero reaction to it whatsoever, and continue to eat avocados for the rest of the training of that particular workshop. And so that just speaks to the power of the subconscious. I had a session this morning with a client I've been working with for quite a while, and she struggles a lot with gluten, and she used to be really severe about it. This is something that she's been working on for a while. She used to be really severe. Gluten was an all or nothing. You couldn't pay her any amount of money to eat gluten, and now she kind of like sneaks it in every now and again. She's a lot more neutral towards other people having it in their own diets. She doesn't have all of this like animosity towards gluten anymore. But what she came to realize in today's session with me is that her reaction to gluten, her relationship with gluten, had to do with an event that happened when she was a mom to a 4-year-old and a brand new baby. And something happened where she fed the 4-year-old a tiny bit of mac and cheese, and then they went on to go and do something, and it ended up in a total meltdown for the 4-year-old, and she had to pick up her kid and carry her kid football style while she had the baby and the stroller and trying to get herself out of the situation. And so her subconscious created a situation for her in order to avoid that happening again, and the way that it categorized gluten was that gluten creates bad situations for me and my children, and I want to protect myself from being in that situation again where I was embarrassed, I felt guilty, I didn't know what else to do, and that was a traumatic experience for her, and her subconscious associated it with the gluten. And so we balanced for that, and we'll see how that unfolds for her and her family moving forward. Right after that, she wanted to check her son for his milk sensitivity. And so again, something happened with her and her son when he was younger, when he was nursing, about 5 weeks old, I think she said. And so she was able to balance for that issue as well. And so she'll be letting me know in the future how these things start to unfold. How does the family's relationships around gluten and dairy start to change now that she's done these balances? And so When you're thinking about the things in your life that you think aren't solvable, or you're thinking that, well, that's just a condition that I have and there's nothing I can do about it, be thinking about, well, when did that condition first start? I have another girlfriend who I was sharing this information with her about how the subconscious can create these reactions in order to protect us from a trigger. And she said, you know what, I actually believe that because growing up my whole life we had cats. And I don't have cats anymore because I'm allergic to it, but it's because my dad left, and whenever I saw him after that, it was not really a good circumstance for me. And so what I've also noticed is that I've developed a cat allergy, and she thinks it's because her dad left and her subconscious is finding a way to protect her from feeling that pain again. And it's found it in the sensitivity to cats. I actually have the same thing with cats. I think I figured this out recently. My 6-year-old, she wants a cat so bad, and I won't let her have one because I generally don't like them. But on top of that, I am allergic to them. I get really itchy, like way deep in my ears when I'm in a house where the people have cats, or I'll get scratchy in my throat, and I'm generally uncomfortable. And so I've noticed that those reactions kind of tend to wane depending on who I'm with and how comfortable I am in those environments. But what I've come to recognize or remember is that when I was young, my brother went to a neighbor's house that was around the corner, and I remember they had kittens, and then it turned out that the children in that family had lice. And so my brother got lice. And so I think that I have associated lice with cats. So that's something that I've been able to clear. Like if I'm in a situation where I notice that they have cats and I start getting all itchy, I can just kind of acknowledge that. It's like, this isn't really a real thing. I'm not victim to this. Then I release it. I can do that with a balance, or I can use that with some other tools that I have. And we can actually release the sensitivity or release the reaction to cats. Same thing with scents. You know, I used to not be able to even walk by the Victoria's Secret store because of all of the chemical scents that they had. I used to work for the Clinique counter when I was brand new out of college. It was the second job that I had, and people would spray that happy perfume all over the place, and I would get an excruciating headache from it. And now I don't experience that anymore, and I think it's just because I'm in a completely different life space anymore. I don't have this animosity towards having to have a second job. I don't have this animosity towards a terrible boss that I used to have. And so I don't really notice so much the headache when I'm in an environment where there are a lot of artificial fragrances. And so just be aware of how powerful and all of the tools the subconscious has at its disposal in order for it to make you pay attention to something, or in order for it to protect you from something. Remember, the subconscious is just this massively powerful database, and so it categorizes things. It puts things in buckets, and then you react depending on how the subconscious has categorized your beliefs and your experiences. And so when you recognize that, you know what, I get really bloated every single time I eat gluten, well, it might not be that gluten is inflammatory. For some people, it really truly is, but for other people, it might be protecting you from an experience that you had younger in life that somehow is affiliated with gluten. If you want to know if your reactions are in fact reactions to that substance, or if they're in fact reactions to an event, a circumstance, a person, a situation that you had, we can find out what that is through a psych-k protocol, and then of course you would balance for it. And so those things that you might be missing from your life that you'd like to incorporate back into your diet, or if you'd like to start wearing perfume again, or if you'd like to get a pet but you're afraid you're allergic to it, there might be an opportunity there for you to create balance around that, create a whole brain state around it, and eliminate the protection that your subconscious has given you in order to protect you from other triggers. you can balance for that. Any questions on this, go ahead and contact me through my website, there'sabalanceforthat.com. There's also an opportunity for you if you have any questions about the protocols in general and how they might be able to support you and other problems that you're facing. There is online scheduling there for complimentary Q&A. I'd love to talk with you about what you're struggling with and talk about how we can help you balance for your challenges. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.